Also, there's a couple of really funny editorials, essays in that book about time and the idea that the woke have this crazy idea that, people who lived 500 years ago really should have known better.
Yeah.
They have this magic moral time machine where they imagine what they would be doing in 1758, and it's always better than...
And it wouldn't have been using the term master bedroom.
No. That's another thing, yes.
Right?
And again, that's another point I'm always trying to make, is that the difference between old school liberals like me and the woke is things like that. People, I think, have this idea that wokeness is an extension of liberalism, and it very often is something that goes so far, it actually turns around and...
Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly started off with a casual chat, but the moment the conversation shifted to woke culture, things quickly escalated. What began as a friendly exchange soon turned into a heated showdown. Maher didn't hold back, declaring that woke culture isn't an evolution of liberalism, but a completely new and radical offshoot. It was both fascinating and surprising to see him openly distance himself from the far left. One thing's for sure, this discussion was anything but ordinary.
Says nobody ever gets canceled for being too woke. That's how you wind up with men can get pregnant.
Yeah.
It's just, you can say the most ridiculous thing, and because no one wants to be the one who's called out on Twitter, they'll be like, "Oh, sure, men pregnant."
Sure.
I've always said that. I saw a dude who was glowing today. It's just so ridiculous what you can get away with saying, and just the intimidation.
Maher is boldly calling out his fellow leftists, the ones who quietly roll their eyes at the extreme left but are too afraid to speak up. He argues that many liberals secretly believe woke ideology has gone too far, yet remain silent out of fear of being labeled or canceled. To Maher, this silence isn't neutral, it's part of the problem. He insists that more people need to stand up against the excesses of wokeism before it erodes the moral and cultural foundation of the nation. In his view, this isn't merely a political issue, but a societal one. And if people don't push back soon, the fear-driven conformity will ultimately destroy everything liberalism once stood for.
Someone who's ever felt that. Have you managed to escape ever afraid of blowback from your own side?
Well, come on, I've been on 31 years. It comes with the territory every week. When people say to me on Saturday, "How'd the show go last night?" I'd say, "If I'm not canceled today, it went great." I mean, they're always looking to take you down, and the knives are always out. But, I feel like at this point, after 31 years, if they wind up getting me, okay, I had a pretty good run.
That's right.
And also, I think there's just a lot of people who have my back, and they appreciate what I do, and they appreciate me having that bond with my audience, that I don't pull a punch, and I never will. And it's made me, lose some audience. That's true. I say it in the introduction of the book. I say, I have lost some people, and I don't miss them. Those are...
Maher has faced relentless backlash, even from within his own political circle, yet he's never flinched or folded. Over the years, he's developed a backbone strong enough to withstand the fury of the woke mob. And to his credit, he's still standing tall. Love him or hate him, it's hard not to respect that level of conviction. While not everyone agrees with Maher on every issue, many can at least admire his courage to challenge the excesses of the woke left. According to him and others, their policies do little to unite or uplift. Instead, they divide, shame, and silence. In an age where most people tiptoe around outrage, Maher's defiance stands out as a rare and refreshing display of honesty.
So, what I always tell people who are Democrats and liberals is, you don't have to lecture me about Donald Trump. I'm the one who was sounding the alarm bells before anybody. But I also get why people vote for him. I absolutely do. Because the stuff that, for example, you just said is in the swimming pool, and the stuff that is threatening to people that comes from the left is so much more in their everyday life. It's not vague. Like, to most people, what's Trump and democracy? It's a vague thought. And Ukraine, that's very far away. Was it impeachable? Who knows? But I know about my kid coming home from school and saying, well, they're telling me I can't.
Yeah, And that's exactly the kind of thing that gets under people's skin, which is why so many continue to push back against woke ideology. Maher's frustration is understandable. He's outraged by the idea of biological men sharing bathrooms with women, calling it a blatant violation of common sense and personal boundaries. Even more disturbing to him is the way some schools encourage children to make life-altering decisions, like gender transitions, while keeping parents uninformed. To Maher, that's not progress, it's chaos disguised as compassion. His point is simple but powerful. When ideology begins to override biology, reason, and parental rights, society starts to lose its balance. And that's exactly why he refuses to stay silent, no matter how loud or relentless the backlash becomes.
Your perfectly normal son that he might be a girl. At my all-boys school, they kept asking them over and over, raise your hand.
Well,
where are you in the scale of girl to boy, 0 through 5?
I did an editorial only like 3 weeks ago, and I used the word entrapment. I mean, it was about comparing what goes on in the schools with entrapment. I don't think anybody had ever put it that way. But entrapment in the law, I'm sure you know this better than I do, means suggesting someone into a crime.
Yep.
There's something they wouldn't have thought of to do anyway. I mean, I used the example of after 9/11, there were a number of cases where law enforcement basically entrapped people who were not really going to be terrorists. The one case I mentioned was the Liberty 7 guys in Liberty City, Miami.
According to Bill Maher, the fringe left has perfected a subtle but dangerous tactic: psychological entrapment. He claims they're planting ideas about gender transition in the minds of impressionable schoolchildren. It often begins innocently enough, with teachers or counselors repeatedly asking kids if they've ever felt different or thought about changing their gender. At first, the idea may not even cross a child's mind, but with constant repetition, the seed starts to take root. Over time, suggestion turns into curiosity, and curiosity into confusion. Maher argues that this kind of repetitive conditioning isn't about freedom or self-expression, it's manipulation disguised as inclusion. And in his view, it's reshaping young minds long before they're old enough to grasp the weight of such decisions.